Yes, sir. I'll tell you just as soon as she comes up.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our Airport Authority meeting for Thursday, June 23rd. I ask you to silence your cell phones and please rise. Mr. Hurston on the invocation, and then Paul on the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Shall we pray? Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we take this time to praise your holy name, and we just thank you for all that you do for us here at the airport. We know it's not by our power or our might, but by your Spirit. We ask now that you bless this board with increased wisdom, guidance, increased abilities to analyze our monthly business. And we once again take this time to praise your holy name. We give you the honor, the glory, and we ask for a continued hedge of protection around our facilities, our airliners, our employees, and our grounds. We ask for a special hedge of protection around our new AVX area on our north end of the airport. But we just ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Everyone join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll go first with the roll call.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Andrews?
Here.
Mrs. Oliver?
Here.
Mr. Carr?
Present.
Mr. Hansick?
Here.
Mr. Parrish?
Here.
Mr. Hurston?
Present.
Ms. Coppola?
Present.
Okay, I'd also like to acknowledge Punta Gorda City Councilman Mark Karhowski and Mr. Murray, their city manager, in the back of the room. Welcome. Citizens input. Anyone wishing to address the Airport Authority on an agenda item, please identify yourself and let us know what agenda item you'd like to speak to. Seeing a big rush, no one wishes to address an agenda item at this point. Any additions or deletions to the agenda, Mr. Parrish?
None for me.
Any board member? Authority member, I should say.
No.
Okay. Moving on, item number 7 on the agenda is employee service recognition. Are you doing this, Megan? Okay.
Good morning. Good morning.
We have a couple of 5-year service awards this morning. Unfortunately, the vendor was closed last week, so did not receive our order till Monday. So I don't have the actual awards, but we do have the 2 employees here, and their managers will speak upon them.
Oops, sorry.
Tim, if you'd like to come up first.
My employee is Hayden Malagasy. He started here 5 years ago, obviously. He started as an intern, and he did everything from FBO to IT to admin, and he ended up growing into a positional role for part-time with IT, and now he is full-time. And without him, IT really wouldn't function the way it does today. I'm busy enough, and he helps out quite a bit. He's been a great addition to the team, and I look forward to many more years of his service.
Oh,
Great.
And our second award, if Darren would like to come up and present to Selra.
Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Darren Webb, and I'm honoring Selric Radona, who's been with us for 5 years from the FBO operation. When I first came on board, senior leadership of this airport had mentioned his name on many occasions of the go-to individual to get things done, and they were absolutely correct. No job is too small or too large for Selrick, and he comes in with a smile, safety, and service to all of our customers that frequent this airport. And again, 5 years, and I look forward to working with Selrick for many years to come. And congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Consent agenda. We have minutes of regular meeting and approval of credit card limit for our CEO.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to the Secretary Treasurer's report, Mrs. Coppola.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. We have accounts receivable, income statement, balance sheet, and I'm going to ask Mr. Parrish to comment on those, please.
Certainly. We go to the overview. Just a quick overview of the month and the year-to-date. Continue to be a little ahead of budget, both in revenues and expenses, but revenues are exceeding expenses, so that's always where you want to be. So far, year-to-date, we are $3.6 million to the good, or 4.7 million. Our budget was 3.6, so we're over budget on that. We continue to be monthly. Keep in mind that we are entering the slow period, and the numbers will start to decrease, which is budgeted every year for at least the last 2 months of the fiscal year. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. When you see negatives, those are always projected. We go on to accounts receivables. If you look to the right, everybody is now paid as of April. All the overdue balances are in check, so we're doing good there. And well, I have a lot of data, but everything else, the balance sheet continues to be positive as we move forward. We are continuing to add items to the balance sheet as we finish capital projects. Total assets are about 146 million, and we've already gone over the accounts or the income statement. So any questions specifically? We are starting another round of PFC applications as we begin to approach the end of our collection period, probably in the next 18 months for the current PFC app.
Jim, Mr. Parrish, if I may, on the PFCs, is there a limitation on how long each agreement can be in place?
No, but there is a when you hit your cap, we set that we're going to collect, it's like $1 million. When you hit that, you can't collect anymore.
Okay.
So, and then each individual project has to be started within 2 years of the PFC.
And it is based on collections?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And we're at our net increase or decrease in net position, we're at 3.6 basically, and we're budgeted through April at 1.9. So basically it's double at this point.
Our actual is 4.7, we budgeted 3.6, operating gain and profit.
Okay, I was looking at the net position,
Yeah.
but that's all right. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, I would just like to mention to the people here and those of you that are watching us on your computer that all of this information is provided to the airport authority members usually a week in advance of the meeting. So everybody has an opportunity to really go into the financials and develop any questions they have. And as we get into other projects, also if they have questions, they have the ability to meet with staff members for any clarification or education on a particular project. So with that, do we make a motion to, we just accept the
No, we don't need to do
financials?
anything
Yeah.
until the final.
Right, budget. Okay, next item, Liaison Reports. I'll start off with the Punta Gorda City Council. And this is an appropriate time to mention that we've finally were able to coordinate a joint meeting between the City Council of Punta Gorda and the Airport Authority Board. It's going to be on June the 29th at 10 a.m. and it'll be held at the Punta Gorda Isle Civic Association. It is a advertised meeting, and so that we're all operating under the Sunshine Law. And it'll be a general discussion on what the city of Punta Gorda is doing and what we're doing and how we can continue to work together. So if anyone is interested in attending that meeting, you're more than welcome. And it is published. Again, that's going to be on June the 29th at 10 a.m. at the Punta Gorda Isle Civic Association, which is on Shreve Street. County Commissioners, Mr. Andrews. I guess we should recognize that Stephen R. Deutsch happens to be in the audience now.
I'd like to invite Commissioner Deutsch up to update us. He is the airport liaison.
Do we start the clock for the commissioner, or?
Why, he just ignored
If you want to get in trouble.
Good morning. Mrs. Coppola,
Yes,
congratulations.
thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try and, we've got so much going on, it's like amazing. You know, we're dealing with what we first referred to a few years ago, as we all are, with what I affectionately have called APE, our accelerated population explosion, and Gordon's picked up on that the last year or so and enjoying it. We're obviously wrapping up the budget review session and intensely in that, but we're also dealing with the challenges of new positions, like everyone else, and I don't know what impact you guys have faced out here, but you know, whether you're looking at IHOP or McDonald's or the sheriff's office or the fire department or the county or anywhere, people don't seem to want to be out working, and the statistics aren't real because so many people aren't in the workforce. So we have those challenges, and one of the things the administration's been working on is sort of kind of, in a different sense, doing what we call kill and combine, where we're taking some part-time and seasonal positions and trying to wrap them up. And even the YMCA, they're having trouble getting lifeguards too. So this is across the board. It's a challenge I'm sure we're all facing. So that's part of what we're doing. We're also trying to aggressively, and if you've noticed the paper, they did a pretty good job this morning, deal with the housing crisis we have. And one of the things, and I'd appreciate individually or personally from everyone some feedback on that, we're looking in terms of the possibility of legalizing and following through on some ancillary properties going on an existing property lot. We've had some situations, we know now in Charlotte County, there are people that are on lots with houses on them living in tents. They're living in sheds, they're living in campers, they're living in mobile homes, they're living under the stars. We know this is happening. And you know, our part of our concern in reviewing and dealing with the housing issue, do we want to look at making some of that legal? Technically, you can legally have a, quote, in-law place to live for someone, and it doesn't even need facilities because they can use the ones in the main house. So we have some unique things, and it's one of the challenges that we're facing. I could go on and on. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're amazingly busy trying to deal with the employment and the housing issues that we're facing. And I think we're making some progress with the housing thing, but, you know, and again, as you guys know, we're not alone in those problems. You know, certainly every county has it, all of Florida has it, and probably certainly at least the southern half of our country. I don't know if you have any questions, but I tried to, for me, be brief. And I apologize for coming in a couple minutes late. The phone wouldn't stop ringing.
I feel bad about putting grandma in the backyard in a tent. That's kind of sad.
Well, in Florida, in our community, it's a lot better than putting her in the basement. So
That's
I'll
right.
just leave it at that. You guys have a blessed day, and if you ever need anything, you know where to get hold of me. Good to see you.
Thank you. MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to say I saw Michael Grant, our state representative, come in late. Hello, sir. I reported last meeting on both the MPOAC and the MPO. My next meeting on the MPOAC is in Gainesville at the FDOT Materials Lab, and that's going to be July 28th, and our next MPO meeting is July 18th. But with that said, Mr. Chair, that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, community, Mrs. Coppola.
Oh, that's me. Well, I continue to be involved in the Port Charlotte Women's Club. I think they're a terrific group of women who raise money through different venues and help the kids in the school, and they give out scholarships. And as I told you last time, even though we had the COVID and everything was pretty tough out there, they still were able to give out a nursing student scholarship and one to Embry-Riddle, to a young gentleman who graduated from the high school here. And I thought that was great. So I continue to be involved in that. And just to let everybody know, they are doing an auction sometime in November. And if anybody would like to donate something for that auction, because it does go, all of it, anything we raise goes towards the children's scholarships. So that would be a good thing to do. They also do a fly a flag for your veteran on Flag Day. You can bring a flag down, put your name on it. They will put it up in a field by the school, and that's a nice honor too. And we have quite a few people that do that. Let's see. I was planning to go to the next Punta Gorda Republican Women's Club, and also to the Women's Club in Charlotte County, to just talk about what we're doing here. We're doing a lot of good things here at the airport, and a lot of people don't realize how active we are, not only at the airport, but also in the community. So I want to keep that going, and everybody seems very receptive to me when I speak. And I also went to the last Liberty Caucus group, which is an interesting group also. If anybody's interested in information, that meets once a month also at IHOP. Thank you.
Thank you. State legislation, Mrs. Oliver.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, since we happen to have our local state representative and majority leader, I thought I would invite him up to give a little update.
Well, thank you. Good morning, members. It's been a long time since I've been to a board meeting, and even longer since I've sat behind the dais up there. I came here today just thank you all for your cooperation with the school board on getting the grant from the state for the airframe and mechanics facility that we got $3 million for. I would also like to acknowledge the fact that our Senate partners, Senator Grugers and Senator Albritton, had played a big part in that, so it wasn't just me. It takes a team effort, and that's why I want to thank you, because you were working as a team with the school board to do something that I've been fighting for years.
Yeah.
Kathleen, I remember coming down here in 1988 when your son worked for me part-time,
Yeah.
and I think he was on his way to med school that September.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you were proud of him, that he was,
He has a business right here in town.
and that he went off for school, but how heartbreaking it must have been to think that he might not come back because there weren't the opportunities here. By your working with the school board to get this project off the ground at the airport, you're creating jobs for the future. You're helping our community come together and become a 3 or 4 generational community, which, Kathleen, that's something that I know that you've fought for as long as I have. So I want to thank you again for all of that. Kathleen, congratulations on your reelection.
Thank you.
You may have also noticed in the paper today that there was a letter about privatization where I came out strongly saying that people were misquoting me or whatever. I've never been in favor of privatization. I've raised over $9 million for this airport in the past 6 years since I've been in the legislature. legislature, and it's unlikely that somebody who has done that kind of activity would be looking for privatization and having that state money go to a private entity. So just want to reinforce that, and if you hear anybody talking that Mike Grant was in favor of privatization, please shut him down. Again, thank you for everything that you do. James, thank you for your letter. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Grant, on behalf of the Airport Authority and myself, I want to thank you for your legislative efforts in helping our various funding efforts over the years. It's been very positive for the Airport Authority, in as much as it's given us some of the financial impetus to leverage that with other monies and provide for facilities here at the Punta Gorda Airport. And thank you. Okay, moving on with our attorney's report. Mr. Carr.
Well, thank you, sir. There's any number of various and sundry matters always going on at the airport, but the only two major issues that are currently what I'd say confronting us is our ever-present Gulf contours. This is an update on that. As of April of this year, he's going delinquent on his 2021 taxes in the amount of about $7,000. To my knowledge, he's made no payment on those, nor has any payment program in place to pay those. No payments have been made since April on that debt. He did pay off the 2020 under his agreement of in May of this year. But nonetheless, he still remains $7,000 delinquent on the two types of taxes. And as far as I know, he's making no effort to pay them, nor is there any agreement in place to pay them. I've asked him repeatedly for information related to the fire repair. I've received no information. To my knowledge, the fire repair continues to not be done. Under his abatement plan, he was supposed to continue to keep me advised of his plans to move. I have heard nothing from Mr. Goen despite repeated requests. Anyway, that's the current status of Mr. Goen. As to the other only major issue is a forced main issue that lies on airport property that is owned by the city for reasons that simply are incomprehensible to me. The city has not accepted responsibility to move this pipe despite an ongoing colloquy between myself and Mr. Levin. I think after, I don't know, probably expending 25 hours of my time, not to mention untold amount of time by Mr. Parrish this week, not to mention having to invoke our surveyor and Banks Engineering, I've now supplied them a plethora of information that we actually own our own property and have requested that they please tell me who's authorized on their behalf to tell us if they're going to participate in the moving of the pipe or not. I'm awaiting a response. Other than that, everything's calm.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, James, what's the size of the force main? We don't know.
Yeah, we know. I think it's an 8-inch force main.
8-inch.
I'm not positive. It was put in late in the issue is it was not in the original design for Piper Road, so it was put in late. And it goes over the storm drain, and it's where it goes over the storm drain that it's too shallow for us to just pave. So we're working on it. They were involved in the pre-construction meeting this week. The city staff was. We are working with their inspectors to make sure it's inspected. It's moving forward. What we don't have in place is an interlocal agreement on that. So.
How shallow is it, Jim?
It's in the base.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's in the base. I've heard that force mains, gravity mains, you can concrete bridge.
I have done that in the past. Mm-hmm. They did not agree to that as a solution in the
design. You mean the city did not?
Yes.
Is that expensive?
It's about $220,000.
So the solution's going underneath the drainage?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Mr. Parrish's, our CEO's report, development update.
Sure. So just go through a few things. Golf course Boulevard and Challenger is a project that we're working. We wanted to get comments from the city, the county, the fire marshal, the sheriff on the closure of golf course and the extension of Challenger out to Piper. We have met with all of those entities, and we have formed a conclusion that it is a possible project, and we're going to work forward on funding for that. It is, if you recall, part of the master plan required us moving Golf Course Boulevard. The cost to move that is as much as extending Challenger, and I think extending Challenger is a better solution for the future as we want people to access the north side of the airport. Taxiway Golf, you guys will be voting on that this afternoon, the selection of an engineer to move that project forward. Terminal planning, we're finalizing the study on that, and that'll include the rental car area planning study. The terminal seating replacement is moving forward. We had our first meeting with the terminal seating selectee, and they are excited to get going. We're going with a plastic molded injected seat that has an internal frame, so we won't have the issues we've been having throughout the years of the screws coming out. As you approved last time at the last agenda, it's about a $600,000 project to put in seats. These will have electricity about every third seat, so you'll be able to charge your phones, have USB-A, USB-C. State of the art, but we got to fit them all in there, so we're working on that. They should have preliminary drawings to us in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be able to move forward. Maintenance facility and our new industrial facility, we have finalized all the contracts with the architects and engineers. Hope to have 15% plans in the next few weeks on the industrial facility. That'll give us the ability to start marketing, and with a special emphasis on Gulf contours, letting them see what the building's going to look like. We'll have something to show them and have some preliminary pricing at that point. Self-serve facility is moving forward. The 50/50s and the 60/60s, as well as the T-hangers, are all in early phases of construction. We should be getting permitting on all of those and then start breaking ground soon. Taxiway Delta reconstruction, you will be voting on that today. Building 101 ramp repairs, we've got some questions from the contractor. We'll go through those and get them done. The roadway network improvements, that's the force main, the right turn lane, and new lanes in and outs, FDOT project. That is, we have pre-construction meetings this week. 422 is the rehabilitation and reconstruction is underway. We are slightly ahead of schedule. They're working on the south end right now, which is requiring some back taxing on 1533, which seems to be going okay. And the general aviation facility, the air center, is close. I encourage you all to go over and look at it. They should be cleaning it in the next few days. Contact myself or Ms. Miller. She can get you over there to see it. It's a very, very nice facility. And hopefully today we can move forward on a restaurant inside of there. But we're very close to opening it, and I think we do have a ribbon cutting scheduled for the next board meeting right now. Is basically we'll do it at the end, after the board meeting. Any questions?
Ms. Parrish, a question on the 24 Ts. I heard that there's an issue with the fire marshal wanting us to sprinkler those storage facilities.
No.
Not on the Ts. Okay. On the 60s?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And the ribbon cutting on the general aviation facility, that would be in August then, right? Because there's no board meeting in July.
Correct.
Okay.
We'll be moving in July, getting all the furniture in place mid-July, probably moving tenants over there, and we want to make sure we have everything settled down.
Everything works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get the punch list items completed.
Mr. Court, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the new industrial facility, when do you think you'll have the preliminary pricing available?
We should have 15% plans, which is, like I said, in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, so in that case, might we schedule for our August board meeting a renewal of the abatement for golf contours if they agree to the pricing of the new building, just so that we're all in compliance and on the same page?
Okay.
Is that it?
Mr. Parrish, did we straighten out the contractor on the impact fees due to the county on the, our new general aviation center?
Straighten out the contract.
Because remember, they were saying that they were exempt?
Oh, well, we paid the impact
Okay.
fees, and they're required. The school board doesn't have to pay them, but we.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions on development update? Hearing none, we'll move on to our marketing update. Mrs. Miller?
Hey, good morning. The marketing report has May activities, so we didn't have the great news coverage we got from the aviation facility, legislation, appropriation, so thank you for Mr. Grant, Gruters, and Albritton for that as well. But back in May, we had our first honor flight, which was great. Press coverage and involvement from the community, and everything went very successfully. So Commissioner Hansick attended, as well as our staff got together and worked with the group on that. So that was wonderful. We were also recognized as one of the 5th most affordable airports in the country, which was great press coverage nationally as well. From a terminal advertising perspective, the city of Northport joined the terminal advertising program, which is cool. So we have the city of Northport and the city of Punta Gorda with presence at the terminal. So I want to thank the city of Punta Gorda and Northport for joining our terminal advertising program. And besides that, continue to have great engagement from the community with our social media and news coverage as well, and continuing our marketing efforts locally and nationally as well. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions, Mrs. Miller?
I just want to add, excuse me, I was on one of the honor flights a couple of years ago and escorted a gentleman, and it was phenomenal. What a wonderful experience to even listen to all the stories and how their lives transformed even after they came home and things they went through. It was absolutely the most, magnificent trip. And I would recommend it highly to everybody. It was really wonderful. And we have beautiful weather, which helped a lot too. And we went all over. I saw more of Washington that day than I ever saw before. And it really was great. I would recommend that highly to anybody and everybody.
One of our former employees went. It was an
Did you have that same
experience.
reaction?
It was wonderful.
Yeah,
So
it
I'm
is.
glad you did that.
Yeah, I want to do it again. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, aviation.
Mr. Chair, if I may ask Kaylee a quick question? If I may.
Okay.
Okay. Kaylee, the top 5 ranking for bragging rights, were the top 5 ranked?
Yes, so the
Where-
first was Atlantic City, and then the
Okay.
other 3 ahead of us were mainly Allegiant, Phoenix, Mesa, Gateway, Sanford and Orlando Airport, and the St. Pete Clearwater Airport.
Okay, so we were number 5.
Yes, we're number 5.
Thank you.
Boy, that's good competition to be in.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Okay. Aviation activity report.
Yes, good morning.
Mr. Dunn.
So we had a really good May as compared to May 2021. You'll see up there slightly up. For total operations, we had 7,440. Next slide. And total passenger count, we had, as indicated, a great May. We had 138,675 passengers come through the terminal, and that's the best May on record. And the last 3 consecutive months were the best March, April, and May for any year that we served passenger traffic at Punta Gorda Airport. So we're having a really good year, despite, you've probably heard in the news, all airlines are experiencing crew shortages, and we would have had even a better year had Allegiant not experienced the same thing that other airlines are. But glad to say, when their operations, they're running a really good operation, and the numbers indicated that their cutbacks weren't as much as many other airlines cut back their services throughout the country. So we're fortunate to have a partner like Allegiant. And the final slide shows fuel sales. So fuel sales have been up as well as compared to previous May in all categories, including avgas uplifts, self-serve, and jet, as well as commercial. So everything's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I will add to that Allegiant proactively cut about 18% system-wide before they flew the flights, where you'll see Delta, JetBlue are in the paper daily for canceling thousands of flights a day for crew shortages while people are sitting in Atlanta waiting for planes. At the CCAA conference, if you didn't show up the day early because of weather and cancellations, I think about 25% of the people weren't there the first day because they couldn't get there. I know the director of St. Pete Clearwater slept in Newark for 2 days.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it is a serious issue with crews, with pilots, with mechanics. I mean, we're doing the best we can here to help that, but this is something that we've been talking about for 5 years, and so.
What's the main cause? Is there a main problem?
Well, it costs
wages?
Almost $200,000 to become a commercial pilot, and you know the payback is you can become a doctor for less, and there's a lot of things going on in the industry, and you know we're just working through it.
Why $200,000?
Because you have to fly 1,500 hours to get your commercial rating, which is, what was it before?
It was more than 1,500 hours. Or was it? It was 750, I believe.
It was 750,
and then it went to 15 after the accident.
After the Colgan crash.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
So it's just something that legislatively we're working on, but that probably will not change the 1,500-hour rule. So that is causing a lot of flight deck issues when it comes to pilots.
What's the salary for a pilot?
Probably 175.
Yeah, 175, 180.
To start out.
It's a pretty good salary, but when you have 200 grand in debt, it's.
I've also read that the military is not turning out as many
pilots.
pilots as a result of their drone flights. That is, that used to be sort of the feeder program for all of them.
Yes.
And as a result, there's simply a lack of pilots that are simply being trained by the U.S. government. Or the,
It is a continuing issue.
in addition to that, there's a huge age out going on of experienced captains because there's a cap at age 65 where they pull your license to fly commercially, regardless of your health, your mental status, et cetera. It's terminated that day. So as a result of, one, the military not training them, and two, the age out of a lot of pilots that were trained, say in the 70s or 80s, there's this lack of pilots. The only reason I know this is people have approached me about potentially suing the FAA to change this arbitrary and capricious rule.
Good luck.
Yeah. I also think
I asked for a $500,000 retainer. I didn't receive it yet.
Yeah, I also think it's an opportunity for the airlines to cut out their skinny markets. It's a good excuse.
It is a very, very good excuse to cut out small markets, and that's why we're working as hard as we can to keep our rates as low as possible, because right now airlines are looking at significant cost increases in both salaries and fuel, and airports are expanding to meet especially southern airports are expanding to meet the required needs of the expansion that we've seen in passengers during and post-pandemic, and those costs, as we're seeing in every bid we've come out with, is 25 to 50% more than we expected. So fees at airports are going to be going up, which is one reason we've got to maintain a very conservative growth perspective, because could really hit us in the future. And so we'll, as we move forward, I'll talk about that.
Mr. Parrish,
Sure.
how did your speed dating go?
Speed dating went fairly well. You know, I don't think I got married to anybody yet, but we have some very interested companies that have kind of talked to us in the past, but not really been interested, are really interested because every airline is realizing that if their cost per seat mile can reduce by 10 cents at one airport, that really goes to the bottom line. And I will tell you, airline negotiations, and it's a multi-year. It took us 5 years to get Allegiant here. And I think now there's new blood at a lot of the other low-cost carriers, and I think we'll see something.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Dunn, I do have a general question because I get it asked all the time. How do we do our fuel pricing? When do we adjust the price?
It's first in, first out. First in, first out.
FIFO.
So, yeah.
First in, first out. So when we get a load, if that load increases our cost by, or whatever that load cost, then it's transferred into the actual cost of the product,
Yes.
gallon cost. Okay. Anything else for Mr. Duncan? Okay. Any old business?
None?
Okay. Under new business, Mr. Pierce, why don't you brief us on the restaurant proposal?
Certainly. So
Yeah.
we, as you may recall, we have gone out for proposals for a restaurant. We did not receive any interest. We then went to everybody who took the documents, plus talked to brokers and other aviation restaurateurs, as well as aviation caterers that cater private aircraft to try and garner, as well as CTC's culinary school. And we were really told, because of the economy, because of employees, because of constricting money supplies, no one was interested. But Rosati's came to us, called us, talked to us, took us down there. We ate some wings and pizza, and you know, Ray and I, wings are very important to our culinary experience. They were good. And we continued our talks with Rosati's, and they have given us a proposal to take the restaurant. It would require a capital outlay from the airport, and then there would be a payback over the years in an increased percentage per sale that decreases over the years as we get paid back. The advantage to a restaurant like Rosati's is it's a breakfast, lunch, and dinner restaurant. We're also going to be making our percentage on deliveries off the airport, so there is a larger potential for income, which means our potential for getting paid back is greater. It's the only fish on the line, so I'm going to let the board discuss it. I can answer any questions. Jordan is here if you have any specific questions for the restaurateur. Kaylee has provided a lot of background information, some menus. This will be not only a Rosati's, it will be a Rosati's restaurant, but he'll also serve breakfast, which is not a typical pizza restaurant fare. He'll also do catering for aircraft. And
before the board gets into discussion on this, I'd like to invite Mr. Rosati up here if he would like to address the board.
I just want to make a comment. My kids always loved pizza for breakfast.
Pizza.
Did he bring any?
Did you bring any
wings?
Wings and pizza.
I could have.
I think you just invited the wrong people for wings.
I could have brought pizza. I could have brought everything. Thanks for having me.
And
Appreciate
your
it.
first name is Jordan?
Yeah,
from my
George
understanding.
Lupella, yeah. Just a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised in the Chicagoland area. I've been a Florida resident for roughly 12 years or so now. Majority of my professional career, all of it, I worked in restaurants and food service until I realized that I was just tired of making money for them, and I opened my first Rosati's in 2017, and the second one in 2 years later. So those were challenging and successful, and then we just, those are kind of self-sustaining and running, and then we kind of found ourselves talking with the airport about this deal, and I'm excited to partner up and do this here in Punta Gorda.
Thank you. Any questions for him before we get into the discussion, particular?
Did we decide how large this restaurant's going to be, how many people you can seat?
So,
I don't know.
There's a
James,
diagram.
The diagrams are in
it's
your,
roughly
Oh, I didn't
3,500
see
square feet, I think. So you can,
Is that adequate for you?
it's a little on the small side compared to what we could handle. Like, we could do a 5,000 or 6,000 square foot pretty easily. Some larger restaurants are 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 square feet. You don't have to be that big, obviously, but this is a little bit smaller, which, it'll be very easy to manage for us and our team. But depending on the way you lay it out, you can have plus or minus seating. I think it's calling for maybe a little over 100 chairs or seats, butts in a seat, something around there, 100, 200 and a half, if I remember correctly.
yeah, and there will be event space, partition walls that we could, have regular dining plus an EDP board meeting or such, so it has some flexible space in there. But yeah, looking at the diagram, and obviously this is a architectural rendering, that's not the actual layout.
Yeah.
It's about 100, 120 seats.
Is that right? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's permanent is that wall dividing the
Yes.
kitchen. Other than that, we're gonna kind of, figure it out when we get in there.
That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep, we'll do that, yep.
Okay.
Yep, and then I think we'll have to, come up with some sort of fast stuff that's sort of, like a typical airport packaging, something like that, where people
People
can
are
grab
on
and
the
go,
run,
or,
yeah.
to kind of we'll have to have 7 or 8 different ways for them to eat and go, or sit and go, so we'll obviously have a really good plan ahead of time, but we'll figure out the packaging kind of thing, prior to.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
So we'll have to have a little bit more of a restaurant, but / airport kind of thing going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, discussion among board members, and maybe you may want to stand there if there's something else comes up.
Stand here? Okay.
In case somebody has another question.
Yeah, no problem.
Mr. Parrish, if I may, I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, in our past discussions, we had talked about having the event space, and I couldn't remember if it was going to be for rent for like weddings and such too, in which case would our contract or any proposed agreement preclude folks from bringing in outside caterers, or would they?
Kayla, I don't think we preclude it, but we would encourage, a cake or
course,
something like
absolutely.
that could be brought in, but
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you don't do wedding cakes, do you? Pizza.
I could probably figure it
Hey,
out.
you just gave him a new idea as far as I
Put-
went.
Put some candles on it,
But Publix.
Now, nothing in this contract would preclude it.
Mr. Parrish, quick question. Who's going to handle the architectural services? Are we going to be involved in that, or is that on Jordan?
No, we will be involved with Rosati's, but it will be our contract for the build-out,
Okay, okay.
up to the maximum.
Is estimated return on the investments? 5 years, 8 years,
10 years.
10 years?
The thing that's encouraging about this is if you look at his estimated monthly sales, it is significantly higher than our previous restaurants' monthly sales. And I think that's because of 3 meals a day and the takeout and delivery. There is not another restaurant within 3 miles. So, I mean, we're encouraged by the opportunity. I mean, I would love to tell you that one of our local restaurateurs was going to come in and take this over. We have met with every one of them, and there is just not the desire to take on something new right now.
I think it's an interesting opportunity for us from the standpoint of you have to provide services, and not everything we do we make $1 million on, and there is a need for it. There are what, 1,400 employees on the airport. You got an industrial park across the way.
Yeah,
We've got the school, so I think there's a good base out there, and I think the idea that we've got a full-blown restaurant back on the airport, I think.
No, I think the opportunity with CTC moving up there, with ABC Supplies moving across the street, there is going to be, and hopefully that will just continue to grow, a demand off the airport and on the airport for a restaurant that will make this a successful opportunity for all of us.
And there is an element in southern Florida of the aircraft owners that, like our group out of here, they leave here every Wednesday morning, 10 to 12 airplanes, and they fly to Sebring or Okeechobee for lunch or breakfast or whatever, and
They can fly here.
those things are
They
in
will
reverse.
They will reciprocate.
So there is an element of that too.
No, it's something we've been, working towards since we lost Skyview. And I think this opportunity in our new facility is a great one for the airport community, and the community at large. So it would be an investment from us as well as Jordan. But it's something that I think, as airport management and airport directors, and it's something that's expected, especially at an airport with a GA population as large as ours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jordan, I'm seeing a lot of restaurants come into my firm, and some of them have like a menu board and a drive-up window, but a lot of them are doing pickup windows, and so I think it'd be a great opportunity for you to pick up all the businesses in the airport that only have an hour for lunch, and the employees could come to the pickup window and pick up their window, or pick up their order. So I would encourage that. I don't know if it fits in with with our plans.
We're going to try to take advantage of every avenue that people are coming through.
Yeah.
So, again, it's people coming in and grabbing something. Maybe that's packaged, or So we're going to tailor the functionality of the restaurant and the movement of the restaurant to take advantage of every one of those things.
Can you call in and order over the internet or phone?
Yeah,
for your pickup?
We're a full-blown franchise nationwide, right? Okay. So I've been operating two of them for 4 or 5 years, and so with that, what I bring with that is that everything is integrated. So we have online ordering. We have a restaurant that can take advantage of the community, which is what I'm figuring out is going to be, it's going to be pretty big, pretty substantial. So we'll have all that stuff, and then we just have to tailor it to being in the airport, and figure out how to serve the staff, or the people coming in and out really quick, or the people want to sit down and actually have a full meal and have a server. So we got to do it kind of 6 different ways, and we'll figure all that out.
Because I think the airport businesses will probably be one of your biggest customers, I would think.
Yep. We also have to capture the town as well, but yes, we're gonna do it any way we have to do it.
Real quick, the $140,000 a month, basically, if you look at all 30 days, it's about $4,700 a day. That
100. You're talking about the sales I projected?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually going to bring that up. So James, you mentioned that's quite a bit more than any, and you're talking about other airports?
Our previous
Yeah.
to breakfast and
Okay.
lunch.
Yes, so for me, it's like, when I wanted to project the numbers, I was gonna go worst case scenario. This is not quite worse, but it's not a good projection by any means. So what I did is I simply took the sales of my small little carry out and delivery place and multiplied it by like 2.5, which is like, at that one, we don't have liquor, beer, or wine. We don't have breakfast. We don't have airport staff. We don't have all these things that we'll have at the airport. And to say that all you have to do is double it to 30,000 roughly a week is kind of a no-brainer. So for me, it's like we can achieve that with our eyes closed. And I wanted to base all the numbers off that just to know what the bottom line we got to be at. Does that make sense?
It does.
So.
From,
Thank you.
if this is approved today, will it take you to get going like 6 months from now, you get the kitchen in and the interior?
Yeah, I mean, I built the other ones.
Is that optimistic?
Yeah, I built the other ones in 4 months or less. And I, prior to doing this, I had a lot of experience with operators, and I've seen the build-out process. So I had a little bit of headway, but this is a tiny bit bigger project. Depending on the county and the permitting and all that stuff, it just should be no reason we can't do it under 6 to 7 months.
And I don't know if the board members know, but the floor was never poured in that building
that's
for the
good.
restaurant area, because not knowing who is going to come in, they can lay out their kitchen and all the stuff that's underground, which is, speeds up the process quite a bit.
So what's in place is the grease trap and the things that are outside the building. But yes, the inside is really ready for the architects and the end user to modify, put down on paper, and then we can apply for the permits to get it out the door.
So I've got a layout tentatively, I've got architect on standby, so we can fire that off pretty quick, and as soon as we get to the county, it's just build.
James, could I ask a couple of technical questions?
Sure.
Yeah, Mr. LaPella, number one, Rosati's is a franchise, correct?
It is, yes.
Is your franchise owner already on board relative to this concept?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so they're agreeable to you modifying the national menu in order to accommodate
100%.
this process?
Yep.
I just need to make sure of these things, because
No
I don't
problem.
want to get down the road and then say, well, we don't want to franchise an airport or that.
No,
kind of
this
product.
doesn't quite matter to you guys, but I have a really close relationship with them, and so we won't have any issues. Everything's on the up and up.
Okay, do you need any further approval from the franchise in order to go forward with this?
Nada. They have a architectural layout on standby for me already, so they're just waiting for basically us to find us our business.
I just needed to confirm that before we started the investment process, because I don't want them to pull, sorry. we
No
don't serve
chance for that. No chance at all.
I noticed their menu doesn't have breakfast on it. That's why my concern was.
Yep.
is-
They have
is
no
your
issues
franchise-
with that. They'll make plenty of money off our lunch and dinner, so.
Well, many franchises don't you allow the operator to modify the menu is the reason I'm asking the
Yep.
question.
And
So-
that's definitely a valid question. Rosati's is a little bit more unorthodox, and they have a little bit more room for their franchisees. So,
Thank you. I just
yep.
need to confirm
Yeah,
that.
No problem.
Does he have to adhere strictly to that, or can you have your
Yeah,
own
we'll have to
imagination?
adhere strictly to the dinner, and we'll have some, what they call local flavors that we can add, right?
Oh.
So they allow franchisees in different regions to add, for example, maybe down here, I believe they let you offer like a coconut shrimp or something. I don't see much need to add too many other things than
No,
what we
it's
have.
quite a menu, yeah.
But we'll have all the opportunity to do whatever we like for breakfast, so
Do you have good cannolis?
we do. We certainly do.
New York cannolis?
So
Maybe Chicago, but I think they're
Oh,
still good,
right.
yeah.
I only know New York.
And instead of the $100 hamburger, we'll have the $100 pizza. And it's
Hey, if it's good, it's
$150
worth
hamburger
it.
today.
Hey.
All right, continuing with the pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to propose a motion that the board authorize our CEO to finalize an agreement with Rosati's Pizza.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No, sounds good.
I have a question. Does the motion need to carry with it our participation in the investment?
I think we're just going forward with the negotiation, and then you'll approve the entire negotiation. He's given, I think it's as presented, is approximately $500,000. Obviously, that's the target amount, but I think you're going to come back for a final for the approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the motion and the second is a motion to approve in concept proceeding forward, but the final will come back.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have
Everybody's
that.
understanding?
If it's okay, we can get this all wrapped up by August.
As far as what?
Our contract.
The
Oh, to
contract.
finalize it by August, yeah, great.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're,
We have a motion and a second to proceed with an agreement with Rossetti Restaurant Operation in their new general aviation terminal building. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried unanimously. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Taxiway D Reconstruction.
Sir, the Taxiway Delta project was bid, and the bids were open. We have two bidders, which is typical for pavement projects. There's two major pavement people in the area, Ajax and Wright, who have been the two on our last 5 projects, it seems. Ajax was the low bidder at $9,641,840.80. It's 2.8 over our estimate, and we are working with the FAA to either find some more discretionary money or to use next year's entitlements. We will have to see how that affects other projects, but I think we're okay, specifically with the BIL money, as we move forward, so that we can stay on schedule with the FAA and the federal requirements for these grants to be issued before September. I'd like to get authority to execute the grant and the contract following the grant acceptance.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board authorize Mr. Parrish to execute the grant offer upon receipt, followed by the construction contract as presented.
I second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of allowing Mr. Parrish to execute a grant on our behalf and enter into a contract with Ajax Paving in an amount of $9.6 million approximately for the paving of the taxiway. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Okay, Taxiway G.
Taxiway Gulf Selection. You guys have in front of you the selection scoring matrix. We had 3 people on the committee, 1 board member, 2 staffers. They scored 6 this time, and you can see Kimberly Horn was the high scorer, followed by AECom, which are our 2. For flat work, they have been our top 2 consultants in the last few years. So it is up to you. I would recommend that we continue with Kimberly Horn. They've been doing our pavement work for a long time and are familiar with all the pavement on the airport. They are also DOT's pavement analysis team, not the same people, but Kimberly Horn. So they're very familiar with the pavement on the airport. And Taxiway Gulf is, as if you don't remember, is the extension of ECHO, which we'll figure out what we ultimately name it, that will take ECHO, which goes from 1533 intersection at the end of 15 to the new aviation facility that we've currently constructed. It'll take that on to Taxiway Alpha, which will complete the loop of the airport.
Mr. Hurston, since you were our board representative in the evaluation, and of course Mr. Hurston's an engineer, you have anything to add to our CEO's report?
I do not, other than to say that the 2 top-ranked firms were very, very close, and Kimberly Horn put out just an excellent RFP booklet, and I'd like to congratulate Paul very nice.
Mr.
That's
Chair,
it.
or-
No, that's it.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
We have a motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion that the...
We already have the motion.
Oh, you make a
Yeah.
motion
He's
for
got the
approval.
motion, so you're going to do
Yeah, the
second.
board authorized staff to begin development of the scope of work, fee, and schedule with the top-ranked firm as presented.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, board authorized staff to begin developing the scope of work, fees, and schedule with Kimberly Horn as the top-ranked firm in the evaluation by the team. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, anyone wishing to address the board on any subject, please come forward, identify yourself. Seeing no one that wishes to address the board, we'll move on to commissioners' comments, starting on my right with Mr. Andrews.
I'd like to thank everyone for attending today, and it's been a good meeting. I think we've got a lot of good things to look forward to, and I am well aware of the real estate and housing issues in the county. It's a challenge both on the sales side for the younger people to get a home, as well as rental properties, which are also in short demand. Other than that, I have nothing else to add, so turn it over.
Mrs. Oliver.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate Kathleen Coppola on her re-election to our airport authority. We're so thrilled. I've been admiring you since I was a kid, so it's really nice to get to serve her alongside you for another couple of years at least.
I'll have to get that face done. Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Hurst.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is good to see our City of Punta Gorda officials and Commissioner Deutsch, and it's really great to see Michael Grant. It's appreciate all your clarifications at the podium today. But really special thanks to staff. You guys just do a fantastic job. Just a real quick story, but I flew in from Akron, Ohio, Father's Day, a Sunday in the evening. And when at Akron, when we were departing, they pulled the ramp away from the plane. We were all boarded. They bent the door, and so we had to deplane. And it's like 9 o'clock Sunday night, Father's Day. It took forever to get a repair crew out, and I had some good advice from Mr. Parrish. I called him on the phone. But we did finally make it. But it's good to see anybody, and just congratulations. It's good to have our engineering firms here. And Paul, congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Just thanks everybody for being here. I appreciated the remarks from our Representative Grant about schooling and keeping our kids here close. I just lost a grandson to Honeywell in Chicago who graduated with a tremendously high average that probably could have benefited everybody here. And they made him an offer, and that's where he is now, working for Honeywell. So we do have good schools in Charlotte County and Florida. I can attest to that just from my own children. So just keep up the good work here, guys. We're doing good, I think. Yeah. Thank you, and thanks for your kind words.
Okay, I'd like to echo the comments of the other board members, and also like to make a plug for that we have the EAA, that's Experimental Aircraft Association, B-25 bomber on the field. It's on the south end of the field, and they're going to be available this weekend to provide. You can go take a look at it. If you want to take a flight in it, you can pay their fee. It's a few $100, but it's nothing for a board member. So again, thank you.
Get a senior discount?
Thank you all for coming, and note that we finished this meeting in 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Nice.
Not quite 20.
Speed.
All right, we adjourn the meeting. All in favor? We now stand adjourned.